In this nitty-gritty Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg at I Love Mahj. Today's topic is going to be exercising Charleston options. So this is a fundamental topic. If you're new to the game or if you're an intermediate player, I'm hoping that this will inspire you. If you already know how to play the game really well, you're an advanced player, this may seem a little fundamental for you, but who knows? Everybody plays a little differently, and what I share may be new to you. So please stick around and enjoy the live stream. I do want to say thank you so much for your patience today on the schedule. We're having construction done, and we had both the electricians and plumbers here today. I wasn't aware that we had plumbers here, so it's been a bit hectic today, so that's why I had to reschedule. We also didn't have power on and off for several hours. So thank you very much for your patience, and we're here now. Everything seems to be stable, so hopefully we'll get through this unscathed. Also, I want to say thank you for watching my videos and for being present during these live streams and for sharing about this with your friends. Thank you to our moderators who will be helping monitor chat today. This is a nitty-gritty format, so we will avoid any socialization. If you like to socialize, join us on Friday nights from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That is where we do the Simply Social Let's Play live stream, and we just chit-chat, hang out, loosen up, have a good time playing the game, because after that, we do Beat the Pro. So things get a little more serious in the Beat the Pro. If you want to know more about it, look for a link in the video description below. And finally, before we get started, I just want to say thank you to Pamela for joining as a channel member. Also, Lorraine, I appreciate the support so much, and thank you to all our channel members who help support what we do here at MAHJLIFE. So you saw a little sneak peek of the presentation title. I'm going to go ahead and share it, and we'll get started with this short presentation. I think it's short. We'll find out. I don't remember. So let's get going. If you're new to the game, put a 1 in the chat. Just put a 1 in the live stream chat if you're new to the game. If you consider yourself to be an experienced player, put a 2 in the chat, just so I can get an idea of how much time to spend on the fundamentals. Okay, let's use this right here. Mary, welcome. Wes, Abby, Susan, Jill, JL, Deborah, Amy, Laura, D, Jill. Okay, we have a lot of experienced players here. All right, we may have some people who will watch the live stream repost. So if you're watching the repost, I hope you enjoy the presentation. Since we have a lot of experienced players here, I'll probably go through this fairly quickly, and then we'll get to gameplay with commentary. Linda's asking, what number should we put in the chat if it seems like most of the time we don't know what we're doing? Oh, you mean when you play the game? Yeah, put a 1 in the chat. If you're playing the game and you're a bit flustered with it and you're not sure what to do, you're hesitant to make decisions, you feel a bit under pressure, that I would say a 1 would be a good number to put in there. So during the Charleston, this is a really critical part of the game. And if you can master the Charleston, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of you, because by having that the understanding of how the Charleston works and why it is designed the way it is, once you have that understanding, it'll be much easier for you, I'm hoping. And plus, I'm going to share 3 tactics to help you simplify decision-making during the Charleston. I believe that's part of this this particular presentation. Okay, so let's get started. Exercising Charleston options. Yes, we have a blue pill and a red pill. Okay, this is from the Matrix. So blue pill, red pill, you decide. We're going into the Matrix right now. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, know that everything is hard before it's easy. This is a complex game. It's going to take a while for it to sink in. We have a card with letters, numbers, colors. We got to interpret what the league means for a given hand. We need to cipher the different patterns and shapes and make it fit tiles in a rack. That is hard. It's like building a puzzle, and it's a complex puzzle. But not only that, we have two other elements to consider that make this a complex game, and why it's difficult or it's very challenging to learn. First of all, the rules. There are a lot of rules, and sometimes the rules are confusing. We won't go into why they're confusing. Also, sometimes the rules are written in such a way that some almost sound like they contradict others. So it's hard to know what to do or what not to do. And then the other thing that you need to consider is the people you play with. The people you play with could add additional challenges to the game. Are they new to the game and don't know what they're doing? Are they very experienced with the game and you feel intimidated to play with them? Those kinds of interpersonal challenges can also affect your ability to learn and do well and enjoy the game. So we're going to talk about the Charleston and how to exercise the options. If you understand those options, it will help alleviate some of the anxiety that comes with decision making during the Charleston. Okay, Mary says 1.25. Okay. All right, here we go. So with the Charleston, there are 3 phases in a game of American Mah Jongg. The first phase is the Charleston, and this is a big piece of the pie for a reason. The next phase of the game is the play. This is where you pick and discard 1 tile at a time. The third phase of the game is the pay, and this is where players reward the winner, if any. The Charleston, the play, and the pay. The Charleston is where the transformation happens, and this is why you want to understand the purpose of the Charleston and also the power that it can wield. Is that the right word? Wield? All right, let's talk about the Charleston options, or really what we're going to cover. We're going to cover how to get started, how to pass defensively, when to pass blind, when to stop round 2, and when to take risks. Does anybody have any questions? Or should there be something else in here? That's 5 bullets, 5 talking points. I think that'll pretty much cover it all. If you see this list and you're an experienced player, let me know if I've missed anything. How to get started, how to pass defensively, when to pass blind, when to stop round 2, and when to take risks. All right, here we go. I don't see any questions yet, so we're going to get going. Oh, there's one more. How to measure results. Excellent. That is a very good way to close that up. So, how to get started. The purpose of the Charleston is to accelerate the process or progress of something, in this case, the Charleston. In American Mah Jongg, that means to improve a dealt hand by participating in the Charleston, whereby players exchange up to 21 tiles in up to 7 passes. And we say up to because round 2 may or may not happen. And the optional across, somebody may decline. So it's up to. We're going to get into it. When you get your dealt hand, the first thing you should do is look for multiples. A multiple is a pair, pung, kong, an identical tile, 2 or more in a block. That is a multiple, because you don't want to just look for pairs. You want to look for anything that can give you some indication of where the strength lies in a hand. So in this dealt hand, we have probably an odd hand. We have a multiple. You see the yellow lines there over the 7 dot. So we have a multiple of 7 dots, a pair. It happens to be a pair. We could play odds, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Since we have no 6s or 8s, odds looks like a great category to focus on. And you don't need to pick a hand. Stay at the category level with your decision making until you run out of discards, because you don't need to pick a hand. You just gather, and then when you run out of discards, that's when you want to pick a hand. Otherwise, you're making decisions in vain, because the next 3 tiles you get could totally change the hand. For example, we could get 6s and 8s and switch to 5, 6, 7, 8 just as easily as if we stay in odds. So think about making decisions with what tiles to pass and keep based on the category that you're focused on. In this case, we can target the pair of 7 dots and keep most of our tiles and focus on the odd category. So then I would pass green, 2 bam, 4 dot. So pick 1 or 2 categories and then use the multiples with supporting tiles. The other thing you could maybe play here is like numbers, if more 7s come in, or maybe wins. We got a pair of 7s, a 7 crack, a flower. So maybe like numbers with 7s. If wins come in, we could do news with 7s, third hand down. But I'd call that more of a long shot. We have a lot of fodder here for odds. And I wouldn't pick a hand. We don't need to pick a hand because we're in the gather stage. The Charleston is for gathering fodder. And eventually that fodder will ignite that transformation where you can see clearly the strength and then build on that strength. And then in the end of the Charleston, you see that transformation. So we're going to talk more about that as we go. So now, sometimes when you get a dealt hand, you won't have multiples. So what do you do there? You look for a category that can use most of your tiles. So if you have mostly evens, play evens. If you have mostly odds, play odds. If you have mostly wins, maybe a dragon or 2, focus on the wind and dragon category. So think about the tiles in your hand and then target a category on the card that will use most of your tiles. So in this case, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, or maybe a year hand since we have a white dragon. 2, 4, 6, 8, or a year hand, and we have 3 tiles we can pass. North, 9 bam, 7 crack. So we can play maybe year or evens for this one. So here's another example of a hand where we could play 6, 7, 8, 9 with or without wins. With this year's card, East and West is on there. So those could be keepers. We could do something with East and West, maybe 6, 7 or 7, 8, maybe 8, 9, even 5, 6 could work for the Kongs, offsuit Kongs, third hand down. So there are options. So here's an example of an evens and year straddle, because we're straddling 2 categories. This one, we're pretty much in 2 categories, wins, and then maybe consecutive run of some kind. You don't need to pick a hand because we've got discards. So you're going to gather tiles, but if you develop a multiple during the Charleston, you want to reassess because those multiples are going to be the strength of the hand. With American Mah Jongg, the design of the game is based on multiples, pair pung kong. There are singles on the card, but every hand has at least pairs and singles, if not pair pung kong or pung kong, pung or pair triple pung. No, not triple pung, pair triple kong, or maybe pair and then 4 pungs. 12, let's see, 4, 12, 13, yeah, 14. So whatever the shape of the hand is, it's going to have pairs and then maybe pungs, kongs, even quints. So if you target those multiples, you're going to optimize your potential for a transformation with your dealt hand, because eventually you're going to need those leverage that you have them in your hand and take advantage of them. So we have 7 band pair, 8 crack pair, 7, 8, that's consecutive. So you would hold every 6, 7, 8, 9. If you look at the consecutive category, you'll see that the numbers range up to 4 numbers with one exception, and that is the first hand, 5 numbers in a range in one suit. But most of the hands are going to be in mixed suits, and they're going to range up to 4 numbers. So that's why I say in this example, the range would be 6, 7, 8, 9. If you get a 5, it would probably be 5, 6, 7, 8, and you can let the 9 go. So think about a 4 number range when you have mixed suits. And that will give you the greatest flexibility, and just ride that range until the tiles tell you which way to go. So some kind of a 7, 8, whether it's 5, 6, 7, 8 or 6, 7, 8, 9, you can leverage both of those pairs. East and West 7, 8, that would be in the Wind and Dragon category. So another thing that you could do here would be news concealed with 7s, maybe even with 8s, but I would probably focus on that 7 bam pung. So news with 7s probably is what I would do. You could still do 7, 8 or 7, 8, 7 bam 8 crack with East West, but the East West, those need to be pungs, and we have only singles. So I would take this pick by pick, but anyway, we're still in the Charleston in this example, so it could change here. At the moment, we have only 2 discards, the 1 crack and the 3 dot. So this is when you have to pick a hand. You have to whittle out another tile to be passed. So this would be an example of that moment where you have to pick a hand. Before this point, you don't. You just keep gathering. So if I had to pick a hand, which we do if we're playing in the Charleston, I would let the South go. So I would give up the concealed news hand and then go probably with East, West, 7, 8. Give up the South. Even if the other winds come in, we could go back to that hand and use jokers for the South. So I would probably pass the South with the 1, 3. Still keep the 7s and the 8s and see what comes in. Hello, Dana. Okay, so here's the summary here. Stay at the category level as long as possible. Think category. Gather for the category, not for a particular hand. Now, if a particular hand is screaming at you and it's clear, great, go for it. But more times than not, you'll be able to stay just at the category level. Bird's eye view at all the options. And don't dig into the options till you run out of discards. You're going to keep the tiles that can be used in the category regardless of suit, because there are so many mixed suit options on the card in every category. When you run out of discards, reduce your options based on strength to continue passing. You want to continue passing because the second round has up to 12 more tiles that can help transform your hand. And that's the goal. You want a transformation. Hello, Marcia, welcome. If you're in between categories or hands, if you've picked a couple of hands, you want to pick the strongest option. Let the other one go. Let the weak options go, because they're just going to dilute your effort. It's going to, you're going to straddle or delay that decision, and it'll hurt you in the end, because your opponents would likely have built up momentum and you're stopping that momentum. Now, if you stop the Charleston, for example, you're stopping it for yourself and for them, but they're more likely going to do the optional, in which they'll get 3 more tiles. But more times than not, the player across from you is going to stop the Charleston and you won't get those 3 tiles, because they'll think maybe you're close to a hand. So just be very careful when you're thinking about whether or not to stop the Charleston. You don't want to basically beware of the in-between. Beware the in-between. You don't want to be there. You want to pick your strongest option and move forward. Let the weaker option go. Here's how to pass defensively. Below are 2 worst case passes. Oh, this is best to worst, but best to worst case passes. So the first one is a different number tile from each suit. So let's say, I think I have some example. Oh, I thought I had examples in here. I'll have to add maybe an example. So a different number in each suit. That would be, let's say, 1 crack, let's say 4 bam with a 9 dot. 1 crack, 4 bam, 9 dot. That would be a great pass. Another would be, instead of 3 number tiles, to maybe have 2 number tiles, different numbers, even, odd, mixed suits with a wind or a dragon. That's another great pass. Next would be tiles that are all in the same category. So 2, 4, 6 or 2, 4, 8. That would be a pretty risky pass. If they're in mixed suits, that's not as bad as if they're in one suit, but passing tiles in the same category, it's getting a bit risky. All the same suit, that is more risky than the same category. Actually, you know what? I think I should switch those. I think all the same suit is less risky than the same category, because the number of one suit hands is far less than mixed suit hands. I believe it's 26%. 26% of the hands on the card are in one suit. That's not too concerning. A one suit pass looks really risky, and it is risky, but I think the same category might even be more risky. What do you guys think about that? Experienced players, what do you think? Do you think all the same suit is more risky than the same category, or is this order accurate? Let me know what you think. Same category, same suit, is it the same level of risk, or is one more risky than the other? Let me know what you think. Okay, next, white dragons or flowers. Pass them rarely. Pass them rarely. Flowers are in, I believe it's 42% of the hands on the card. Category is more risky than suit. Okay, Wes, maybe that's why I have it like that. Let's see what other experienced players say. We'll do a consensus to confirm that order. All right, so white dragons, the reason white dragons are risky to pass is because they're in the big year hand and they're a dual tile. You can use them as a year tile, but you can also use them as a dragon. And they're mostly with a couple of, there's at least one dragon hand in every category with one addition. There's no dragon in addition, but all the other categories have at least one, if not 2 hands with dragons in it. All right, so white dragons or flowers pass rarely. Like numbers or pairs pass as a last resort. I believe that passing like numbers is almost as risky as passing a pair. And interestingly, this came up at this retreat I was at this last weekend. And I've been thinking about it. Someone actually asked me this question, and they asked me, what about passing? I think I was bringing up like numbers, and they said, well, what about passing 2 winds or 2 dragons together? And I would put that on the same level of risk as like numbers. If you think about like numbers, they're in 44% of the hands on the card, and like numbers, I think, would be equal in risk as passing 2 winds together, especially east-west or north-south, because those are options on the card. And then also 2 dragons together. But the thing is, I think that it's not as risky as passing like numbers, but it's pretty close. I think it's more along the line of number 5. Passing 2 winds or 2 dragons, you want to do that rarely, only if you have a really strong hand. So maybe I'll add 2 winds or 2 dragons in the same pass here at number 5, because I think that's about equal in risk. And then number 6, like numbers in pairs, very risky to do that. And you want to only do it as a last resort. If I know exactly what hand I'm playing, I have no gaps, and I only have 2 discards and they're like numbers, or maybe it's a pair, I might risk it if I'm that close to a winning hand. But it's pretty unlikely that I would do it. I would probably ask for 1 or none and just let them be discards. Thank you for sharing your opinion about number 3 and 4. I'll go ahead and leave it there, but I will add to number 5, east-west, or 2 winds, 2 dragons, white dragons or flowers, pass rarely. So I'll update that. Any thoughts on that? 2 winds or 2 dragons? Does anybody cringe when they pass 2 winds or 2 dragons in the same pass? Let me know. Give me a hashtag cringe if that makes you cringe. Pound cringe. Cringe. Jill. Okay. Pound cringe. Yeah, me too. All right. So that would be pound cringe level right here, number 5. And then number 6 would be mega cringe, hardcore cringe right there. Okay, so let's keep going. How to pass defensively. Does anybody have any questions? I think we've got it covered pretty well in this list. We've got one further refinement here to add. Okay, next. After you identify the strength of the hand, gather supporting tiles, pass as defensively as possible. So you want to focus on your own hand first. That is the priority. And then you do the best you can with what you have left over. So here's an example. We have maybe like numbers or 3, 6, 9 in this one. We've got east, west with a flower. We have red dragon, 8 bam, 3 crack pair, 9 crack pair, 9 dot pair, and then a south right there. Then we have a 1, 2 dot. We could do like numbers with 9s and news, or we could do a 3, 6, 9 hand. If these were my tiles, I would probably play like numbers with 9s and news, because we have no 6. That would be a gap. So I would lower the hand with or the category with a gap, because a category with no gaps would be stronger. So I think the stronger option here would be like numbers with 9s and news. So I would keep that south, and I would pass 1, 2 dot, 8 bam. That would be a little bit risky because the 1, 2 dot. So I think maybe if we pass the 1 dot with the red dragon would be better. I think that would be a better pass than passing 1, 2 in 1 suit. So I would probably pass red dragon, 8 bam, 1 dot. And I'll update this. I changed my mind, apparently. Okay, and then maybe the 3 crack could be broken up later if we're during the Charleston. You don't want to hold on to a pair you don't need during the Charleston. It's going to it's going to, what word am I looking for? It's going to, the word that comes to mind is shackle, but I don't want to use, it's not a shackle. It's going to hinder your ability to pass defensively because you have fewer tiles to deal with. So if we get all keepers, let's say we get a north in the next pass, we'll have news, and then maybe 2 tiles, we would need to break up that 3. I wouldn't want to give away a keeper. I would break up the 3 because joker bait does not work during the Charleston. You got to get that pair all the way to the middle of the game. So if you know about joker bait and you're thinking, oh, maybe I can hold that for joker bait. No, not during the Charleston. You want to break it up, let it go. If you develop a pair you don't need later after East discards, great. Use that to maybe help you get a joker by using that joker bait tactic. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk more about that later. Yep, cloud your judgment. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here we go. We have, yeah, here, look what happened. Oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was just saying. We got a north, so now we break up the 3. We're going to pass 3 crack, break up that pair. You don't need it during the Charleston. It's just it's going to hinder your progress. It's going to keep you from moving forward. It's going to delay. It's really, yeah, you just don't want to let that desire to get a joker this early in the game create a risky pass or where you maybe give up a keeper. It's better to just let it go. So we're going to pass the 3 crack, the 1 bam, and then the red dragon and focus on like numbers. So we're going to give up 3, 6, 9 on this one. I suppose if we got a 9 bam and a 6 crack, we could maybe play that second hand down under 3, 6, 9, but those are big time gaps. I would not focus on a gap hand. I'd go with a category or hand that has no gaps. And there's a hand in like numbers with no gaps. News with 9s, no gaps. Let the other one go. Let the 3, 6, 9 go. It's weak. So now we have news with 9s. There is a 6 crack in there. So there's still some potential for 3, 6, 9, but we'd have to throw away news. That's 4 tiles. There are still 3 tiles to pass though. So we could keep the 6 and just see what happens. The 9 bam comes in. I would still probably play news with 9s because of that block of 4 news. That's equivalent to a Kong. Same number of tiles for a Kong. It's not a Kong. It's 3 single or 4 single tiles. Their news is equivalent to a Kong as far as power or completeness in your hand. If you have a Kong in your hand, that's huge. So consider news a strength if you have it, because there are hands on the card with news. So now we have 9, 9. Yeah, we're letting the 3 go. We have news with 9s. I would totally focus on that still. Okay, so now it looks like this is a progression. So the 3 must have come back, 3, 6, 9. I would still focus on news with 9. So towards the end of the Charleston, if you end up with a pair you don't need, go ahead and keep it and maybe try to get it to the middle of the game. I would discard the 6 crack, 7 dot red, keep the 3. Although if a tile keeps coming back to you, this 3, nobody wants it. If it keeps coming around in the Charleston, nobody wants it. So it's not going to make good joker bait. A pung even does not make good joker bait. It's terrible. So we're going to let it go probably. Those will be discards. So the red, that's an indicator of potential joker bait, but it is a discard. Although a pung does not make good joker bait. So these are probably all discards. 5 discards, but a hand with no gaps. So that was a pretty good result. So let's talk about now when to pass blind. When to pass blind. The first priority during the Charleston is to develop your hand. Number one priority. Number two is to pass as defensively as possible. There will always be some level of risk in every pass. Your challenge is to mitigate the risk as best you can with what you have left over. So all the unwanted tiles, that is what you're going to use to mitigate risk in whatever pass you're going to be doing. If your hand has progressed to the point where you have less than 3 discards, or you have tiles that create a risky pass, consider passing blind. Those are 2 reasons that you could pass blind. But don't pass blind if you're in between, because you're just delaying the inevitable. You're diluting your strength. You're weakening your hand by straddling options. You want to pick your strongest option and go forward with a complete pass so that you can get another tile that can help you build strength. If you're in between, don't pass blind. Choose the hand that uses the most of your multiples, or if you have no multiples, the most of your tiles. If there are no gaps for one hand, choose the hand with no gaps. Go with strength. If you're committed to one hand with 4 or more discards, or you're committed to one hand and you have a gap with 3 discards, don't stop the Charleston. Pass normally on the second left. If you run out of discards in the cross pass, sacrifice a tile. When you're playing a jokerless hand with singles, pass a single tile because you could maybe claim it to win. Try not to pass a tile that will leave a gap. If the sacrifice was a bad idea, it maybe hurt a little bit in the end, you can recover during the pick and discard phase of the game. You could even potentially switch to an exposable hand. If you're playing a single and pair hand or a concealed hand, you can just switch your hand and then recover with a callable hand. Okay, you ready to keep going? If you're committed to a hand with 2 or more discards, or you have risky discards, you could pass blind because you don't want to help your opponent with a risky pass if you don't have to. So you could consider passing blind. The number of tiles you pass blind is very situational, but pass as few blind as possible. A risky pass may be worth it if you're set. Basically, you're able to claim a discard for every block in your hand. If you're 2 tiles from a ready hand, it could be worth the risk. Either way, pass the most innocuous tiles, especially because you won't know the supplement tile you're adding to your pass. You could even be passing a pair for all you know. So you want to be mindful of that. Didn't I just do all this? When to pass blind. Hold on one second. Priority 1, develop your hand. Priority 2, pass as defensively as possible. It's the same priority, when to pass blind. I think this is when to stop the Charleston, not when to pass blind. I need to fix that. Sorry about that. This is when to stop the Charleston. Staying flexible is important, but eventually you need to whittle down your options. You do not want to straddle or dilute your strength by being in the in-between. It's just a matter of time. You got to make a decision either during the Charleston or during the pick and discard phase of the game. If you stop the Charleston, then you're just going to delay the inevitable. And you're turning down 9 tiles that can strengthen your strongest option. So here's an example. We have 2, 4, 6, 8 potential in here. We could also maybe do consecutive run. Would we stop the Charleston here? No, we've got tiles we could pass. We could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pass maybe the 1 crack, 8 crack, 6 dot. I wouldn't stop the Charleston here. Here's an example of odds number 6 with dragons. So that would be the second hand from the bottom. We don't need to stop the Charleston here. I suppose you could maybe do news concealed news concealed with 5s or 3s, but you'd have to break up a hung of dragons. I would let the winds go. So I would pass probably 1 crack west. Actually, you know what? I would, I would not pass 2 winds here. 3, 5 dot, 3, 5 bam. We need a 1 in here. We need a 1 dot. We have a gap, no 1 dot. This is a gap hand. So we don't have the strength really to stop the Charleston. I think I would probably pass the 1 crack 5 dot with a wind in this case and play 1 dot, 3 dot gap hand. It would be a gap hand and be super risky because we have a pair gap. All right, so let's, oh, that was passing blind. Okay, so this is passing blind. I apologize. We could pass blind here because here now we're going into round 2. So I think I was confused. We don't need to pass blind here. This, I think, is why I was confused, because the mention of stopping the second Charleston. Because when you're thinking about passing blind, that thought about stopping the Charleston comes in. So I was confused. Forgive me. I'm a little distracted today. Can you tell? Okay, when to stop round 2. If you're in between, don't stop the Charleston. Choose the hand that uses most of your multiples. If you have no multiples, the most of your tiles. If there are gaps, go with the hand or category with no gaps. Choose the strongest option and keep going. If you're committed to 1 hand with 4 or more discards, keep going. If you're committed to 1 hand and you have a gap with 3 discards, don't stop the Charleston. Pass normally. If you run out of discards in the cross pass, sacrifice a tile, just like we talked about before. You can recover. You can recover if you have to sacrifice a tile during the Charleston. If you're committed to 1 hand with only 1 or 2 discards, or if you're committed to a pair hand with 3 or fewer discards, regardless of gaps, this is when you stop the Charleston. If you want to participate in the optional cross and you have 3 tiles, consider negotiating for 2 to avoid scrutiny. Do not expect anything in return, because if anyone stops the Charleston, it's a good strategy to disengage, because you can be dealing into a near ready or ready hand. So don't take it personally if someone declines your offer. It's not meant to be taken personally. So here we go. Should we stop round 2? No, we should not stop round 2 with these tiles. We have 6, 7, 8 mixed suit Kongs, or we have a 2, 4, 6, 8 hand. We have a gap, no 4. So we don't need to play 2, 4, 6, 8. We're going to play 6, 7, 8 of some kind. And we have a hand in here with no gaps. 6 bam, 7 dot, 8 crack. So we could pass red dragon, 2 bam, 8 dot. There is some potential in here for like numbers with 2s. There's a pair of 2s and single 2s, but there are 2 pairs of 6, 8 with a 7 to join them in a consecutive run. So that's why consecutive run would be the best choice. And we would not stop the Charleston because we could maybe play like numbers with 2s. You're just delaying the inevitable. Pick the stronger option and keep going. Here's like numbers number 3, probably news with 5s, because we have the 5s paired up. Do we stop the Charleston here? No. Now you could maybe play news concealed under Winds and Dragons using that pair of North, but the stronger option would be to go with the like numbers number 3, because we have all 3 5s and the flower there. We could maybe play the first hand, which is a hand of least resistance. Pung pung, 2 pungs, 2 kongs. You could use a joker in there to help you. So I think like numbers number 3, let the concealed one go, let the consecutive options go, pass 2 wins and a 4. Now this is an interesting situation because we're passing 2 wins. Passing 2 wins is almost as risky as passing like numbers. So there's going to be some risk there, and you've got to make that choice. To me, we're close enough to news with 5s to take that risk. We're 1 tile away from being set because we have a joker, or 2 tiles, because we still need a flower. So we're 2 tiles from being set, and we're still in the Charleston. But we could, let's say if the Charleston ended, we could still pung one of the 5s. We would need a flower, a south, and another good pick. So 3 more tiles, or 2 tiles to get ready. So I think I would probably take the risk, and I would pass northeast before I would pass 2 4s. 2 4s would be almost as risky as passing a pair. Passing 2 wins, not as risky as passing like numbers, but it's still very risky. So you have to decide, do you want to take the risk? I would take the risk. Here's singles and pairs 3-1. That's the 1-2 pair hand. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 in ascending blocks pair, or actually that's I guess that would be ascending. Okay, so we have pair 1, pair 1 band, pair 3 crack, pair 1 dot, pair 3 dot, 1 2 3. So would you stop round 2 here? Yes, because you're playing a pair hand. You have all keepers and only 2 tiles. This is when you would stop round 2, and then you would offer 2 in the optional, and you will probably get a decline, and that's okay. So let's pause here for a minute. Any questions about what we've covered so far? Is there anything that I've missed that should be covered in here? Is there any concerns you have or experience that I haven't addressed? And this one is a longer presentation, but the Charleston is critical. It's crucial to the game. So I think it's warranted. So I hope you agree. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll keep going. Okay, no questions, so I'm going to keep going. When to take risks. In this situation, yes, you would want to take risks because you've got strength with your multiples with the 5s. Here, you would want to take risks. The risk here is stop saying you want to stop, because you know you have that potential of someone not participating with you. That's one of the risks that you accept. A north with a 7, that in and of itself is not risky, but you are risking that ability to participate by stopping the Charleston. So let's talk about how to measure your results after the Charleston. And this goes into position. Positions in American Mah Jongg would be underdog, contender, front runner. If you have, and I thought I would have these in here, so I apologize for that, but if you have if you have more than 4 discards, you're going to be an underdog. If you have 4 discards, you're a contender. And if you have more than 4 or sorry, fewer than 4 discards, you're a front runner. So more than 4 underdog, you have 4, you're a contender, and fewer than 4, you're a front runner. What that means is that you're going to take relative risk based on your position. If you're an underdog, you're going to take low risk approach as you continue to develop your hand, because you need to wait until you have strength or you even know what hand you're playing and you have no gaps. If you're a contender, you're going to take moderate risk because you need to accelerate or expedite hand development so that you could then become a front runner. When you're a front runner, you can push to win regardless of risk because you're more likely out in front, and you'll put everybody else on the defense because you're pushing to win. So underdog, contender, front runner. In this example, we have maybe 3 hands we could play. So even though we have all keepers here, we would be an underdog because we have too many options. We don't even know what hand we're playing because we have too many options. So we need to make a decision and let some tiles go and watch the trend as we pick and discard. So this is, by the way, after the Charleston. We've completed the Charleston and we're assessing our position so we know how much risk we can take. Here is year number 4, concealed. We have 5 discards. So more than 4 discards, you would be an underdog. Even though we have a hand with no gaps, yes, we do have a gap. We have no south. So we would be an underdog. We need to fill that gap, the south. And then we need to make the north a pair. The south needs to be a pair. We need a single 2. We need east and west as pungs. So there's a lot of work to do on this one. We're an underdog. So we need to gather and discard safely. Here's consecutive run, number 4, potentially. Single pair Kong, 7, 8, 9 bam, 7, 8, 9 dot. We would throw away the 7 dot, green, south. We would be a contender here. So we could take more risk. In this case, the only thing we can claim would be the 9 bam for a Kong for that 4th hand down. So there's not a whole lot of risk we can take at the moment until we get more tiles for the 9 dot. But I think you could commit to that 4th hand down since you have the singles and the pair of 8s in this case. Incidentally, you could also play the concealed hand, 7, 8 bam, 7, 8 dot, 9 crack pair. That would be a little more risky because the 9 crack needs to be a pair and you're concealed. If somebody in the game has a pure pung of 9s, you're in trouble. You would have to switch probably to consecutive run number 4, depending on what's gone out. Jill's asking, if you have a good hand but a gap, is a flower gap more acceptable than a number tile gap because there are more flowers? I don't think so. I think a flower pair gap is very risky, primarily because there are 2 hands with quints and there are hands with kongs of flowers. And with a pair, you can't use jokers. So when I'm playing, if I have a gap and it's a flower, I don't even think about that hand. I just play a hand with no flowers. But that's a really great question, Jill. Okay, next, odds number 1. This player would be a contender because we have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 1, 2, 3, 4 multiples, pairs, and a pung. And we have 4 discards. That makes us a contender. So here we can claim discards as much as we can to expedite hand development. And in this case, we need a 1 crack before we can do anything, or maybe something for the 5. So we just need to continue gathering. But this player would be a contender because they have only 4 discards. Here we have consecutive run 7-2, pung, pung, kong, kong. This is a hand of least resistance. So you can use jokers if you're not able to claim a discard for all of your blocks. In this case, we're ready to pung 1, 2. We could kong either the 3 or 4. And then if maybe the other tile, if a 3 or 4 are discarded and we're not ready to call or claim that discard to help us with an exposure because we already used our joker, We could use jokers on the backside, so it's not a big deal because of the type of hand. The shape of the hand allows for that flexibility. That's why I call it relatively indestructible. Two pungs, two kongs, regardless of the shape. Pung, pung, kong, 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 pung, pung, kong, pung, pung, kong, kong. It doesn't matter. Two pungs, two kongs. It is relatively indestructible. With this one, we have 5 discards. Now here, I say this would be a front runner, this player, but I think I'm going to change that. Well, no, actually I'm not, because the thing about this situation, you have 5 discards with joker bait. Joker bait, if you don't know, is when you hold a pair you don't need, and then in the middle of the game, you discard one to coax an exposure from an opponent with a joker, and then on your next turn, you do the exchange and get the joker in your hand. It's wonderful when it works, but it is a hit or miss tactic. Currently, we're doing an analysis on it, and let me pull it up and see how many attempts we've had on it. The last time I checked, I think we had maybe like almost 250 attempts, and we were at 8.8% success. So let me just look at that real quick since we're talking about it. We're trying to get up to 500 attempts. We're at 241 attempts with an 8.7% success rate. That's terrible. It's not as successful as I thought it was. I assumed, I know what that means. We all know what assume means, don't we? So I assumed that it was going to be about 20%, and that's enough for me to try. But 8.8, I don't know. That's pretty, and you never know too, because it depends on what is being discarded and what's being exposed. So the reason I would keep this as a front runner, even if joker bait doesn't pan out, is the shape of the hand. It's a hand of least resistance, relatively indestructible, and that's why I would leave this player as a front runner. All they need is one good pick, 3 or 4 or joker, and they're solid. They're ready to rock and roll, and they will likely win this hand. Here's another one. Evens number 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, second hand down. We have our pairs in hand. We're ready to pung the 4, pung the 6, kong the 8. We're set. When you can act on every callable block, that is my definition of being set. 3 discards. That's less than 4. Or sorry, if you have fewer than 4 discards, you're a front runner. So you can expedite pung 4, pung 6, ready to win on the 8, or some order like that. The whole idea with exercising Charleston options smartly, you got to be smart about it. The smarter you play, the luckier you'll be. So think about those Charleston options and make smart decisions, and you'll see a transformation in your hand. All right, so now let me answer this question here. Which tiles would you consider necessary before considering a quint? For instance, would you consider this hand if you had no jokers in the deal? It's funny that you're asking that, Linda, because I'm notorious for playing a quint with no jokers. It's my signature move, but I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it because it's risky. You cannot win a quint without jokers. You need at least one minimum. And that would be for the one minimum would be for the 4th hand on this year's card, because we have 8 flowers. You could potentially get away with 1 joker. So, and the other statistic you want to think about is, and this was given by the programmers of I Love Mahj, incidentally, which is where we're going to play in a minute. But the statistic is that you can anticipate getting 1.6 jokers from the wall. So if you're playing a quint and you have no jokers, but you have strong multiples, big multiples, go for it. You could anticipate that 1 joker, but you could also anticipate the opportunity to do joker exchanges. That's another way to get a joker. So just think about that and try it out. There's no harm to try playing a quint with no jokers, but it is risky. That's a great question. All right, so I am going to now share my screen so we can play Mahjong. I know that I need to remember that that is an hour-long talk. So we did have a couple of questions in there, so maybe it's a 50-minute talk. And also we started with a little bit of chatter at the beginning of this as well. So it's probably a 45-minute talk. It's important though. So I think it's good that we spend that time to go through the options during the Charleston and how important it is to not give your opponents great tiles, because you don't want to build their hand. You want to focus on building your hand while also not giving your opponents the ability to further develop their own hand. Okay, so let me share my screen and we'll play at I Love Mahj. So let's do maybe two Charleston practices where we can talk through Charleston decision making, whether to pass blind, whether to stop the Charleston. Hopefully we'll have a couple of good deals that will help us demonstrate all those topics or concepts. So I'm going to go into Charleston practice. They have other exercises that are excellent, by the way. So if you've not tried playing here yet, look for a link in the video description below and give it a try. You can get a 3-week trial if you use MAHJLIFE as your promo code. Okay, so here we go. We have a joker, a dragon, green dragon, 2, 4, 8, 9, and bams, pair 4. We have 5 cracks, 6, 7, 8, 9, pair 5, and then a 6 dot. I'll give you 10 seconds. If these were your tiles, what category would you focus on? Not what hand would you play. We're not talking about hand level yet. So just stay at the category level. Pick a category to focus on. Which one would it be? Excellent. I would do the same thing. Laura, Jill, Fran, consecutive run. Some people might think about playing 2, 4, 6, 8, but they'd have to throw away a pair of 5s. So I would not do that. I would focus on 4, 5. 4, 5 are consecutive pairs, consecutive multiples. So we would keep probably 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would hold the 2, I would hold the 6 and the 7, and then I would hold this 6 too. 4, 5, 6, 7 probably. So I would pass the green, the 8, and the 9. Something like that right there. Okay, so here we go. We're doing the first right. We got 2s. Now listen, we were going to maybe do evens, and even tiles did come in. Try not to get stuck in that shoulda, coulda, woulda trap. Avoid that trap. You move forward with the strength you have. So yes, we did get 2s. We gave away 8 and 8, I believe. We passed, I don't remember one of them, but we passed a 8, 9 with something, a wind. Anyway, we gave away an 8, but that's okay. If evens come back to us, we could reconsider it. You can recover. So in this case, we have an 8, 9 dragon. Oh, it was a dragon. It was a green dragon and a 9 crack, by the way. Do you actually move tiles as you do here, or do you keep suits together as much as possible? I try to, well, I do keep my tiles in order if I'm playing by myself, but when I teach, I do arrange them a little differently for virtual training. So I try to keep my tiles in suit and in numerical order, because then you can see the trend with consecutive tiles. And the reason that's important is because consecutive run is powerful. It is the most efficient category on the card, and it gives you lots of options, not just in that category, but elsewhere on the card. There are consecutive run options outside the category. So it is a powerful pattern. So here we have still some 2, 4, 6, 8, but we have pair 4, 5. I would still focus on 4, 5. So I'd probably let one of the 2s go. And it really doesn't matter because you can't use a 2 with an 8 or 2 with a 9. So I would pass the 2 crack. You're welcome, Jill. Okay, here we go. So now we got a pair of 6s. So we were patient. We waited for the 6 to help us with a 4, 5, 6 range, and we got it. We'd also got an 8 dot though. So we still have potential for 2, 4, 6, 8. We have a 3 now though. So we could consider 3, 4, 5, 6 instead of 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would continue and let the evens go and focus on 3, 4, 5, 6 of some kind. So let's let the 8 go, 2, 8. So we have 3, 4 bam, 5, 6, 7 crack, 5, 6 pair, 4 bam pair. We have a hand in here with no gaps. Second hand from the bottom on the right. 3 bam, 4 bam, 5, 6. And we have one more tile to pass. And the reason I looked at the hand level is because we have a 2 bam, a 2 dot, 8 dot, 8 bam. Those are like numbers. I would not want to pass those. We have a 6 dot here. This would be a very risky pass. 6, 8 in one suit, all evens. I wouldn't do that. I would give up the 7. And even there, it's a little bit risky because we have a 7, 8, which is consecutive. So you want to mitigate the risk with what you have left over, and that is the best we could do. Now, we could pass blind here. This is the first left. But because we want to continue to give ourselves the opportunity to get a keeper, I would take that risk because we're playing a hand of least resistance. We can push because of the shape of the hand. 2 punks, 2 kongs, relatively indestructible. If we need to, we could use jokers later. So I would take the risk here. We have a strong enough start. 3 multiples in this hand. So I would do it. Now, 2 bam, 7, 8, mixed suit, 1 of each. I think that's a fine pass because of the strength we have. Okay, now we have 6, 7, 6, 8. There was a lot of 2, 4, 6, 8 in here. But 3, 4, 5, 6, hand with no gaps, I would focus there and continue to pass on evens. Would I stop the Charleston here? Let's just look at 2, 4, 6, 8. It doesn't really gel with any hand on the card. 2, 6 dot, 6 crack pair, 4, 6, 8, no 2 bam. We gave it away. There's a green dragon that corresponds, but we don't have a 2. That would be a gap. So the 2, 4, 6, 8 option is here, but it's weak. It's got a gap. It's got lots of gaps. I wouldn't do it. I would focus on 3, 4, 5, 6, no gaps. That's what I would play. Even though we're not maximized, we're optimized because we're targeting 3 multiples. So would I stop the Charleston? No. I wouldn't stay in between because we're just delaying the inevitable. You go with the strongest option, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to let the even tiles go. So let's pass 2 dot, 6 bam, 7 dot. Break out these 6s so that we're not holding both 6s for a future pass. We have a pass in our hand. If we got all keepers, we could pass 8, 6 dragon just fine. 2 different suits right there. So here's the second left. We've got a dragon pair now. Oh, here's a 5. Okay, so now We have dragon 6.9 bam. I would break up this dragon. This is an example of someone who might look at this and say, oh, joker bait. We could hold that for joker bait, but we're in the Charleston. I wouldn't hold on to joker bait during the Charleston. I'd break it up and pass and focus on number tiles, keeping number tiles. I remember that there was a 7 crack that we let go of. We could do 4, 5 bam, 6, 7 crack as an option, but 3, 4, 5, 6 is the strongest option. So I would break up that joker bait there, that dragon pair, and keep going, keep the 5 bam for a little bit. Okay, so we have a 4, 5 dot. All right, now here's an interesting situation. We really don't even have to pick a hand because we've got 3 discards. So we can pass these just fine and not pick a hand. But with that 4, 5 coming in, we could play the concealed hand, 4, 5 dot, 4, 5 bam, 6 crack pair. Either way, we can leverage the pairs. So let's see what we get. 3 bam. Oh, that makes it easy. Where's my easy button? Oh, it went away. I had an easy sound clip. That was easy because that was easy. Okay, so now we're going to pass 3. Now here we have a 1, 4, 5 and 1 suit. That could be a little bit risky if we pass like 1, 4, 5 or dragon 1, 4 is probably what I would do. But we have a strong enough hand. We could even give up probably this 5 bam, mitigate the risk even a little more, pass red 1.5 bam. That probably would be a less risky. We're 1 away from set here. We could pung 3, pung 4, Kong 5 or 6. We need just 1 good pick. I would pass 3. Red 1, 5. Okay, we did not get keepers. We have 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 5. Oh, look what came in. The 7 crack. All right, so we have 5 discards. That makes us an underdog. However, we are playing a hand of least resistance. 1 good pick, and we could bump up to front runner or probably contender till we get another keeper or claim a discard to make an exposure. You want to get to under 4 discards before the end of that first or the second wall, the short wall after East breaks the wall. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that exercise? Three, 4, 5, 6, pung, pung, kong, kong. I think that was a good result, even though we're still an underdog. We're the dealer, actually. You know what? We have an extra tile. When we discard that tile, we'll have 4 discards, which makes us a contender. So if you're East and you have that extra tile, you can discount that. So we would be a contender here. If someone throws one of these tiles we can call, that would bump us up to front runner immediately, because then we would be left with 3 discards after we discard our tile. So we're very close to front runner. We're nipping on the heels of front runners right now. Okay, shall we do this one more time, or shall we play with robots? Put a 1 in the chat if you want to do this one more time, or put bots in the chat if you want to go and play a game with robots. And I'll take the first 3. Majority rules in the first 3 comments, and then we'll do that. 1 if you want me to continue with the another exercise, or bots if you want me to play with robots. I'll still talk about Charleston decision making. Okay, we got 2 1s. We got 2 1s and 2 bots. We need a tiebreaker now. Well, 1. We got 2 1s in top 3. That's what I said. So we're going to do this one more time, but I'll do it quicker. We'll do less analysis so we can get to the bots. So this will be an actual easy one. And who was asking about playing a quint. We actually have, oh, Linda was talking about, wait a minute. Yeah, a quint. Here we do have a joker, but in this situation, I would consider playing a quint because we have a big multiple and 2 pair. The challenge is that we have 6s, 2 pairs of 6s. If we were to leverage the multiples with the East like that, I would consider playing a quint, in which case I would hold the 5 and the 7 and let the East or the West go. But we could also maybe do East and West with one of the 6s and 5, 7. We don't need to pick a hand though, because we've got 3 discards. So don't focus on which hand you're going to play. It doesn't matter right now. What matters is you need to participate in the Charleston. So the top focus here is your hand, then what tiles to pass and move the game along. So you don't want to be looking at, oh, what hand am I going to play? It really doesn't matter as long as you have discards. So we can pass 2, 3, 8. Okay. We ended up with a 5 crack. We have 2 tiles to pass. We have 5 crack, 6 band, East, pung. 5, 5, 6, East and West. I would give up on the 6 cracks, and I would give up on the 7. We could still play East and West with 5, 6, or we can play the second quint. I would not pass like numbers. Nope. I would pass a 6 with a 7. So break up the pair here. So we pass one of each suit. East and West Kongs with 5, 6, 7. That would be a good option, actually. Good eye. That's a good eye, Wes. However, I'm drawn to quints. We could do this again and test it, though. What happened? What did I do? Let's go forward with the quint and see what happens, and then we'll do it again. Okay, we didn't get any keepers, so we're going to keep going. We've got plenty of tiles to pass. Okay, we're now here. We have 2, 3, 4, 6. We have plenty of tiles, so we would not pass or stop the Charleston. I would do 6 with 2, 7 probably, maybe the 3, so we're not left with a 3, 4. Oh, am I? Okay, am I stuck? No. Okay, here we go. I thought maybe I got stuck. Okay, so we don't have any keepers here. 2, 9. 2, 9 is good. Okay. We don't have any keepers again. 2, 3, 4, 7. 2, 7. Let's say 3. 2, 7. Let's say 4. So we have 2, 4, 7. Evens, odds, different suits. A little bit risky, a couple different ways, but you do the best you can with what you have left over. And that's okay. There's going to be risk in every pass. Okay. Oh, look, we have an option. We have an option tile here, right there, 4 dot. We could do 4, 5 East. And we could even do a full pass because we could let that West go. We don't need the West if we're playing a quint. Oh, we got it back. Okay, so now we have here a quint with 4 discards, but we have an option. You could consider that joker bait, okay? So we have 4 discards with joker bait playing a quint. I would say we're an underdog. No. Yes, I would say we're an underdog because we could Kong the East, but then we'd be stuck. we would need more jokers or more natural tiles because we're not ready to claim a discard for the quints. So because of that, I would say we're probably an underdog with all those discards. So we're going to do this one more time, and we're going to see if East-West with 5, 6, 7 would have had a better result. So try not to do the armchair quarterbacking because we know what came in, but we're just going to take it pass by pass and see what happens. And we'll go a little quicker this time because I don't remember that. Yeah, it'll change. The dynamic will change a little bit. The results or each pass will be a little bit different because we're making a change. It creates a chain reaction. So we're going to focus on East-West. So let's pass 2 dot, 3 dot with an 8 dot. We're going to focus on 6s, East-West. Excuse me, there's a West. Here's a South. Now, we could do news concealed with 6s, but we have a pung of East and a pair West. For that hand, we only need singles, so I wouldn't do that. I think what I would do is let the South go with the 9, and then I would make a choice. We could do East and West with 5, 6, or 7. So here I would probably break up the 6 crack, which is different than what happened in the first round. I would probably play 6, 5, 6 or 6, 7 with East-West. So let's just keep going. We'll see what comes in. I'm going to put that in suit and in order. Okay, we got a 4, 5, 6, but look, pair 7. We're going to keep going. And this is going to be a little bit risky. I would rather do 4, 6 dragon than 4, 5. I would rather give it a gap. And even though there's one hand that can use those tiles, third hand down under evens, it's better than passing consecutive. Okay, no keepers. And no keepers. Oh, we ended up with a pair. This is when I would maybe consider that, but we have 4 discards. We're a contender already. We could pung we have the pung East. We could pung the West. We could conk 6 or 7. We need one good pick. I think what I would do here, because the success rate of joker bait is only 8.7%, I would rather pass fully and break it up. It's way too early and we only have 2 clear discards. So I don't think we could get that one bam all the way to the middle of the game. That's way too long to go. I think we would run out of discards by then because we're ready to claim discards for 2 of our blocks. And we could have maybe even gotten a keeper. In this case, we didn't. So in this one, we are a contender and we're the dealer. Oh yeah, we're the dealer. So we have an extra discard. Once we discard to start the game, we have 3. So we're a front runner. And this is another hand of least resistance. 2 punks, 2 kongs. We can use any number of jokers, relatively indestructible. I would say we're a front runner on this one. All right, now we're going to go play with robots. I hope you found that helpful. Let's play with robots and we'll tie it all together. Does anybody have any questions? We'll be able to play maybe 3 games. Okay, here we go. So we have green dragon pair, red dragon, 1, 3, 4, 7 in bams, 4, 5 in cracks, 1, 5, 6 in dots, pair 5. If these were your tiles, which category would you focus on? Not which hand. We don't want to pick a hand. We want to focus on a category. Which category would you focus on here? Okay, let's see. This is interesting. Jill says odds. Wes says like numbers. Okay. Anybody else? This is an interesting one because you know what I would do? Consecutive run. Fran says consecutive run. Shelby says winds and dragons, probably because of the dragons. Wind and dragon category. I would play consecutive run. 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason is because we can maximize. We have a lot of 3, 4, 5, 6. Whether we can use the dragon or not, I don't know. But I can see why you might think like numbers with dragons, but we have no 5. That's a gap. I wouldn't play a gap hand. But we have tiles we can pass, so we can keep it all. This is a little bit risky, though. Because we have no 5 bam, I would probably keep the 7 and let the red go. Keep the 1 bam. No. 1 bam, stay. 1 bam, 9 dot, red dragon. And I would play consecutive run because of tile efficiency and because like number has a gap. So there's the 3. We don't need to pick a hand. We're not even thinking about picking a hand. We have tiles we can pass. 5, 6. We have tiles we can pass, so we still don't have to pick a hand. We just keep gathering. And we still have tiles to pass, so we still don't need to pick a hand. Till you run out of discards, we still have discards. Now we have to pick a hand because we only have 2 clear discards. This is when you pick a hand. We have 3, 4 bam, pung, single, 4, 5 crack with a 6, pair, 4, 5. We have 5, 6, 9 in dots, 1 dot over there, but there's a 5 dot pair. So with these tiles, we could do 3, 4, 5, 6 of some kind. 3, 4, 5, 6. I would pass the 1, the 9, and then I would break up probably the 4 crack. Because we could do 3, 4 bam, 5, 6 crack, or 3, 4 bam, 5, 6 dot. 3, 4, 5, 6 pung, pung, kong, kong. 5 came in. So now we could pass 7, 8 with the other 4. So we have a 5 crack pung in there. 3, 4, 5, 6. Pung, pung, kong, kong. Okay, and now we can pass these tiles we don't need at all. Okay, so let's see. How did we leave off here? I'm just going to leave that 4 over there. 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a 5 dot pair we don't need. That could be joker bait. So that means we have 4 discards plus joker bait. I would say we're an underdog because we have 6 discards. And with joker bait being 8.7% success, that's tough. So I think we should consider ourselves to be an underdog, and we should take a low risk approach as we further gather for this hand. 3, 4, 5, 6, pung, pung, kong, kong is what we're doing. So let's see how this goes. We're going to throw the 9. Let's throw the 9 first. We don't need flowers. Clearly, they don't either. Nobody wants flowers. Okay, there's a keeper. Let's throw the year tile. So I'd probably throw the 4 dot next. We got a keeper in that first pick. So I would say now we're a contender. We went from underdog to now contender because we got a keeper in our first pick. We have 4 discards, including joker bait. So here we go. Let's see. We can still only call for 1 block. So we're not out of the woods yet. We don't need that. Nobody wants flowers. No, there goes our joker bait. If you're holding a pair you don't need and you're thinking that, oh, maybe I'll get a joker out of that, and then someone discards it and no one takes it, it's not going to be good joker bait. No power there. But let's see if somebody else takes it. No. So this is not good joker bait. Those are discards. We don't need a 3. I like to let the year tiles go first. It looks like nobody's playing a year hand because the white dragons are out, 2s and 4s are also out. So I don't think anyone's playing a year hand, which is good for us because we need a 4 BAM. It looks like no one's playing like numbers with 4s either. Now I don't see any 6s out yet, and there's a pung over here. I bet this player on the right is doing a 3-6-9 hand. They could be doing like numbers with 6s as well, but they threw away the flowers and they didn't act on any of the dragons. So my guess is they're doing a 3-6-9 hand. They could be doing maybe a 4-5 or 5-6-7-8 consecutive run, maybe. A flower. Let's see. No, we don't need that. At one time, we did have the 4 dot. We could have done 3 BAM 4.5 crack flower. I don't remember if we had a flower in our hand at the time, though. I don't think we did. Here's our tile, but we're not ready, and it's okay because we're playing a hand of least resistance. We could use a joker if we have to. Okay, nobody wanted the 6 dot either, so these 3 tiles are good and safe. West is out. 9 BAM go. Joker. Nice. Okay, we're at 65 tiles remaining. I'd say we're a front runner at this point. We're ready to pung, and we need one more good pick. We could pung the 4 or Kong the 6, and of course the 5 is ready to go. So we're in pretty good shape. We still need one more good pick, though. I'd say we're a front runner. Okay, nobody wants 5-6. Let's throw the 8. There we go. Front runner confirmed. We're set. We're ready to pung and Kong everything. Now, that's not a guarantee that we're gonna win. There could be other front runners at the table. Somebody just got a joker. Oh, nice. Here we go. Kong. Now we're ready on a double weight. We can win with a 4 BAM or a 5 crack. And there's a pretty good chance we'll get it because there was a 4 BAM discarded there earlier and no one took it, but we have a 2 BAM on our left and a 6 BAM on our right. Now the 6 BAM pung, there's no way they need a 4 BAM with a 6 BAM pung. No way. Now the player on our left, they could want a 4 BAM if they're doing like a 2-4-6-8, 1 suit or 2 suits, although they didn't act on the 4 BAM or the 8 BAM, and they weren't discouraged from playing that kind of a hand with a 6 BAM pung going out earlier in the game. So I'm thinking they're playing maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 5 in mixed suits, or they could be playing like numbers with 2s, but the flowers are out, 2s are out. I don't think so. I think they're playing a 1, 2, 3, 4 or 2, 3, 4, 5 of some kind. All right, here we go. There it is. Okay, I think I haven't played here in a while. Mahjong. Mahjong. So we did it. We got it. So on the left, they are doing a 1, 2, 3, 4. Across from us, they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. On our right, they're doing 5, 6, 7, 8. Dragon. Second hand from the top under consecutive runs. Second hand. So they needed an 8 bam to win, waiting on a pair. Okay, let's play. We'll be able to maybe squeeze in 2 more here. Oh, look at that. Wow. This is when you might pick a hand right away. With wins, there are not many options. 4th hand down. This hand was made in heaven, basically. Let's pass 2, 9 with a 5. Let's see. Can we plan this better? No. 3, 4, 2 suits. I don't think that's too bad. Okay, so now let's see. We could pass one of each suit. Let's do 2, 3, 8. Mixed suits. And now we have 7. Let's do 4 dot with an 8 bam. 4, 8, 2 suits. 7, 8, 2 suits. We're left with a 3, 4 in 1 suit. So that might be risky in the next pass, but let's see. We may be able to mitigate the risk with the incoming tiles. This is first left. Okay, no keepers, so we have plenty of tiles to pass. We have not gotten any wins. We've not made any movement forward, but that's okay. I think we'll be all right. We may have a competitor, or we probably have a competitor for tiles. Okay, now here we have a 2, 4, 6. That's one category. So I would want to mitigate the risk there. Probably what I would do is keep the 4 and pass the 3. So we don't pass 3, 4 in 1 suit, and we're not passing one category. Okay, so now we have 2, 3, 4, 8. I would break out the 8, maybe do 3 with a 2. There's one. And now we even have our pairs. Pair flower, pair north. We could pung east, west. We need to build our south. I think we're in pretty good shape. Now here, I would pass blind. I think that we need a Kong of souths. We could only call for one pung, the east. I think I would not risk passing like numbers here. Some people might risk passing like numbers. I would not. But what I would do is keep the 4 and pass the 4 dot and pass the 4 bam, because then in the optional across, we can pass 2 suits. 2 suits. No keepers, so we're going to pass 3. Let's do 9, 4, 8. Okay, we got a keeper. Wow, that's exciting. We have 3 discards. So guess what? We're a front runner. Would you consider news with like numbers? No, because I would want to leverage the multiple. At one point, we might have been able to do news with like numbers, but I don't remember the like numbers being multiples. I'll have to rewatch. That's a good question. I'll have to rewatch the. I'll watch the repost. I don't want to rewatch the repost. No, I'll watch the repost and I'll let you know what I think about that. But I think news with flowers looks really good because of the multiples. We need souths though. So we do have work to do, but there's no fear because we can use any number of jokers at this point because we have the pairs covered. They're in our hand. So I think we're in really good shape here. Now we have a Kong. That could be a discard, I suppose. Or we could even consider playing the first hand and let the flowers go and leverage that Kong. Play pung, Kong, Kong, pung. Second option, first line under wins. Oh, okay. There's a 7 bam pair. Okay, we're not doing anything there. Nobody took it. Don't need a 6. There is some potential for east and west with 6, 7, but I think we're way closer to the 4th hand down or even the first news hand. Oh no. So now we need a joker, but that's okay. Look at that. 2 jokers open. Window shopping. We didn't get 4. Okay. Okay, now here. We need to pung. And I would, even though it's a little risky, we still need to get south, but we can use jokers. So 75 tiles remaining. We're letting a 7 bam go. And nobody took it. So it's a little early for joker bait. The sweet spot for joker bait is between 60 and 53 tiles remaining, somewhere around in there, 60 to 50, let's say. The reason I say 53 is because at 53, that's when you need to start gathering safe discards or swapping out your riskiest discards. You don't want to have risky discards going into the end game. So that's why I say 53. So between 50 and 60 or 60 and 50, as the tiles in the wall are depleted. Okay, we want a 4 dot. There it is. Okay, we have an extra west. We got the joker, so we need a south or a joker or a 4 dot. Oh, all right. We're ready on a south. Ready to win on a south because of that Kong of jokers. Well, it's a Kong with jokers. We got them. We're looking for a south. A joker will do. There it is. Mahjong. All right. Let's play again. Maybe we can squeeze in 2. All right. Here we go. Joker. West. White dragon. 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 in bams. 6, 8 in cracks. 1, 2, 8 in dots. We got a wide spread. This is what I call a wide spread. No multiples. So tell me what category you would focus on here. Thanks for the kudos on that hand. That was fun. Looks like everybody would play. Well, not everybody. I see 2, 3, 3, 4. Yeah, evens. Everybody says evens. We do have some 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 6, 7, 8 as well. But we could do evens. And the other thing about evens is this year, you might even be able to play a year hand. So I agree. Evens. We're going to hold 2, 4, 6, 8, and we'll hold the white dragon. Let's let the 1 dot go and then the 7 dot or bam, 7 bam. Yeah, I was thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Or what were you were thinking like numbers with 8s? That could come in. We have a wide spread. So I think we have lots of options here. Year, evens, like numbers. Okay, so we got a 6. Still no multiple, but we don't have to pick a hand. Now that is a little bit risky up there. 3 bam, 5, 9. 5, 9 and 1 suit. I think I would still risk it. You got to give your priority to your own hand development and do the best you can with what you have left over. That white dragon, we could maybe keep the 5 and let the white dragon go, but the white dragon could be handy if we play like numbers with 6s. I'm sorry, like numbers with eights, because we have all three eights. There's an 8. So this is when you reassess, put it in suit and in order, because now we have opportunity for 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. And to me, we have one clear discard with the East. We could play like numbers with eights. We want to leverage the 8-dot pair. Target multiples. 8-dot pair. That is what you want to build around. So whatever we do, we're going to use that 8-dot. We could do 2, 4, 6, 8 still. 2, 4, 6, 8. If we get a 4-dot, we could do 2, 4, 6, 8 dragon. Anytime you use the word if, that would be a long shot. And we're in the first left. I would let it go. I wouldn't even think about that. That's a gap hand. I'd rather play something without a gap. Here's 6, 7, 8, 6, 8. I think what I would do here, I think we have 6, 7, 8, 6, 8. No, I think I would hold the 8, let the 6 go, hold the dragon and let the 2 go because we have a gap. So I think what I would do is focus on 2, 4, 6, 8, pung, pung, kong, kong, first hand, or like numbers with 8s. But there's a gap, no other dragon. We need another dragon in there, red or green. All right, let's see what happens here. We got a 6 and a 2. Okay, awesome. That's why I love that shape. Pung, pung, kong, kong. That's nice. All right, we're going to keep going. So now let's do 8 bam. Let's do a white with the 9 instead of 7, 8, 9. Okay, we got 7, 8. Ooh, oh my gosh, look. 6, 7, 8, 9. 3 multiples. I would switch. We're going to break up the 2. 6, 7, 8, 9. Pung, pung, kong, kong. So let's pass 2, 4, 8. Okay, no keepers. East, 2, 7. 9. And we can pass fully. Okay, we have 4 discards. Oh, we were not East. Okay, I hope I got that right on those other ones. 4, 4, 4, 1. Where does it tell you whether or not you're East? I mean, I guess you could count your tiles every time. I don't remember now. I hope I didn't misspeak. I'm sorry if I did. All right, so we have 4 discards, so we're a contender. I would say we're a front runner because we could pung 6, pung 7, kong 8 or 9. We need one good pick. One good pick. Joe. Oh, I see. It says East up there. All right, very good. Okay, we're ready to go. We need one good pick. Or even a claim. If we can claim a discard to make an exposure, that'll help us get to a front runner position. Okay, we're 90 tiles. We don't need that. We want to be a front runner by 81 tiles if we can. We have 2, 4, 6, 8 in one suit, but I wouldn't be distracted by that because we've got 4 pairs, 4 consecutive pairs. Oh, now that's interesting. We have an option now for the second hand down under consecutive run. We're 1 away from ready or from set on that because we could pung 7 and 8. We need one good pick for the red dragon and we could kong. Let's let the year tile go. So I'd say we're a contender. We can't be a front runner yet because we're in between hands. If you're in between, you're going to be a contender at best. Okay, there's a joker open here with a joker. Another option. Okay, now we have to decide. Since the dragons are super weak, I would take it and expedite hand development so we can be a front runner. And I would let the dragons go. 3 discards at 73 tiles remaining. We need one good pick. I would say we could be a front runner, but barely. We're on the probably the last front runner in the pack. Until we get one more. There we go. Now we're a front runner. We're ready to go. We're ready to pung and kong. So we just jumped into the front of the pack. Okay, we're gonna pung. Okay, we're ready to win by the mid game. 60 tiles remaining is the midpoint in the game, and we are ready to win. This is fantastic. We're ahead of the milestone. I say the milestone for being ready to win is the end of the third wall, which is 41 tiles remaining. And we have 5 more picks to that point. So this was a really great build. And we have a double weight. We need an 8 or a 9. Or a joker. Maybe we'll get that 4 dot. Somebody else got it. Okay, we don't need the 7. Okay, there's something I just noticed. Excuse me. There's only 2, let's see, wait, 1, 2, 4 dots. There's only 4 dot tiles out. 2, 3, 6, 7. That's it. I mean, we have a lot of dots here, but 1, 5, 4, 8. We have the 8s. We have the 9. 1, 5, 4. Somebody could be playing 1 through, there, over on the left, 4 dot pung. They must be doing 3, 4, 5, 6. No. 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 4, 5, 6, 7 and 2 suits. Because they probably wouldn't do that in 1 suit since we have the 6s and 7s. So I don't think they're going to be a contender for our tiles. They're not going to be wanting our tiles. They could be doing the dragon hand. They could be doing that hand, yeah. They still wouldn't need our tiles, which is nice. The player across from us with a pung of dragons, they wouldn't need our tiles either. And the player to our right, we don't know about them yet. Oh, come on. Okay, we're in the end game now. Oh, there's a joker open over there, 3 crack. Uh-oh, white dragon. This is an unseen tile. Okay, so 4 dot pung with a white dragon Kong. White dragon Kong, 4 dot pung. So they must be doing the second hand or the 5th hand down under consecutive run. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 5 dragon. Uh-oh. No, this should be okay. I'm glad they had that south out. There it is. Mahjong. Hey, we got it. Excuse me. Shall we do a speed round? Would you be up for one more game? Speed round. I'll play super fast. That was nice. I wasn't sure if we were going to get that one though, because I thought maybe there were other front runners at the table. Let's see. The player on our left, one away from ready. Player across from us, ready to win on a white dragon. They're playing a gap hand. That's why you don't want to play a gap hand. Player on our right, ready to win. Oh my gosh, yeah, look. We had three front runners at the table, including us. The player on our right needed a 4 crack. So, Agata is shady. That's funny. Okay, let's do a speed round. Here we go. We're not going to do a lot of analysis. We're just going to speed through. So we have Ness, Pung of South. So this is where I would consider a quint with no jokers, but we do have the potential for the concealed news hand. So I think I would do that. However, we have like numbers. Look at these like numbers. Oh my goodness. I don't think I would do that. Yikes. I think I would give up a south because we could use a joker for a south. If we decide to switch to north and south with 4, 5 or 3, 4, we could pung if someone discards a south for north south. There's a 7. Now we're in between 4s and 7s. There's a 4. Oh my goodness. Now we have 6, 7. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do 6 bam. We have NES. We need west and we need a north in there. We have a pung of 4s. So this is where I would pass blind. I would not pass like numbers here. Play a quint. I don't remember what we had. We would need an offsuit multiple with that 4 dot. Can't do a quint with 4, 7. Nope. I would pass blind. We're not strong enough to take on the risk. Okay, so now we would keep going. Let's do 7, 8, 6. Maybe the 7 dot will come back. Let's keep the 7 and pass the 8. Okay, there's an east. We really don't need the east. Let's pass 8 east. Now we have to give up a tile. Let's let the 7 go. Can't straddle. Okay, we have red, 8, 7. We got the north. That's cool. Okay, and I would pass 2, 7, 9. Okay, we have options actually. So we have a hand with no gaps. We do need it west, but I don't call that a gap. I call that a weakness. If you look at the news concealed hand, east, west, those are a block of 2 singles. So it wouldn't be a gap, it would be a weakness, which is, not ideal, but we have a hand with no gaps, news with 4s. But we have an option with the 7. Here goes the 7 dot though. And nobody took it. So we're going to zoom through these. We're going to go fast here. Let's throw the 7 crack. Might as well. There's a joker. That's going to help us. We don't want flowers. We're playing news concealed. We need a west. We don't call anything. There's the keeper. We're a front runner at this point. We're still in the begin game. We have a pair we don't need, but that's it. We're a front runner. There we go. That could help us here. I'll just put this down here. Uh-oh. Riley's going to bark, I think. We can't call anything. We're concealed. There's a joker. We're ready to win by 68 tiles. We're ready on a west. I'll just put these in order here. Ready to win on a west. Now there's a south out and a north. It looks like nobody's playing wins, so we should get this. We don't know where those are, though. There it is. Mahjong. Okay, we got it. Mahjong. News with fours. We could have also maybe have done eights or sevens, but look at the player on our left. Like numbers with eights, they have a pair of sevens. Player on our right, oh no, sorry, opposite. The player on our right had eights and a pair of sevens. The player on our left has 1, 2, 3, 4 of some kind. Player across from us, little odds with dragons. They're pretty close. They're one away from set up there. They just need a good pick for their dragon, and they're also a front runner. Okay, so that's going to do it for this live stream. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you found it helpful. And thank you for the kudos on the win and the other wins. It was a good day playing Mahjong. So if you have not tried playing it, I Love Mahj, look for my email in the video description, or you can just go to I Love Mahj and use MAHJLIFE as the promo code to get an extra week in your trial. It's my pleasure. Thank you. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, exercising Charleston options, there's a wiki article on this, so you could read up on it in the wiki. Just look for Charleston options, or you could always send me an email. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you, Fran. Thank you, everyone, for your kindness. I appreciate it. We'll be back again later this week for more Beat the Pro Thursday, and then Friday night. Join us if you're free on Friday for Simply Social beginning at 5. We have a couple of channel member live streams tomorrow and Wednesday as well. And it's certainly my pleasure. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.